Anybody reply to Sue Hammond? You know,
I was waiting to see if the school board was gonna reply first.
it's a little late for the item, but
People live on.
I think I took it, I took their proposal as erring on the side of caution. And once they get the RFP in, that number will be adjusted before it's final. Like, I don't think, I didn't,
Yeah.
they're actually planning to spend 1.9.
Jim, are you gonna be here?
A number.
I expect she may.
That's a safe number, but it's probably a high number.
chime in.
What about,
Allison will be tuning in remotely. Just-
okay, we're gonna give a few more minutes for Councilor Jean Marie.
She joining remotely or she?
I'm kind of assuming so, and I did talk to her today, and I said, don't forget tonight. She said, oh, I won't. Just give 2 seconds for the text her.
Sunbird was late yesterday.
He
oh,
broke his leg?
Yeah, he was
Oh, no.
scootering. So we
Oh.
had to take him to an orthopedic surgeon today, see if he can get
Ouch.
surgery. but
He
didn't.
was what when they did it?
He was on his scooter
Oh.
and I guess he was just fell off weird. Like he
oh,
didn't, no scrapes or anything, he just like landed funny on the scooter and it just
Yeah.
down by his ankle somehow, like where the bone connects to the foot. I guess there's like growth plates and all kinds of sensitive stuff there and it just apparently moved out of socket or
Oh.
whatever.
ouch.
Yeah, so he's pretty bummed.
I bet he is. Poor, how old is he?
8,
Oh.
yeah, and school just started. and,
Oh.
Yeah, so he's like, nobody's gonna play with me at recess. and I
Oh,
know,
the
I'm
poor
just like-
little guy.
I wanted to say something with them, but I was like,
All right, let me see.
Since we're live on.
Oh, I got
YouTube.
oh, I didn't realize that.
Also keep it clean. So what we'll do is we do have a quorum, so we will get going.
Allison's coming in as a panelist.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna go camping. And it's starting to get a little cooler.
Yes,
Mhm.
And I'm
but it feels
saying,
good.
do I really want to wake
Hello.
up at 5 AM?
Hi, there we go. Thank you.
Scared Ken.
I'm just trying to figure out how to.
Do we have a Q and A? We got a Q and an
I think
Uh,
that was me commenting.
A? All right, then we're gonna go. We're gonna start. And if Jean Marie comes in, she can just join in. So thank you for joining today's Town Council Communication Committee's meeting. Today is 9/13, September 13th, 2001. Call this meeting to order. We'll have a roll call, please.
Council Anderson,
Here,
Council Johnson.
Here. Item number 3, approve the minutes of August 10, 2020 meeting minutes.
so moved.
I second. Tracy?
Council Anderson,
Yes.
Council Johnson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 5, discussion on the community survey communication plan.
Actually. I
I'm
think-
sorry, item number 4, I was wondering, that even threw me for, I said, wow, how did we get there? Discussion on this community survey draft review. And with that, we'll just open it up. I'm assuming everybody's looked at it. I have for the 100th time.
Yep.
Times I have mixed feelings about it, but I think it's a good instrument to get a good general sentiment rating of the town on a variety of products or projects or topics. How about you, John? You have any,
No, I looked at it again and, again, with fresh eyes after not having looked at it for probably a week. And I agree with you, Ken. I think it's a solid, pretty comprehensive survey. And I think it'll be really helpful to see the results to know what we do. So I think it'll definitely be able to help us, hopefully help the town and the town staff in making some decisions and then
Yeah.
helping us in terms of setting goals and policies. So I think it's pretty good.
good. Allison, do you have anything to add to this? Any?
Yeah, I think I wasn't part of I wasn't able to make it the last time you spoke with Jason and the edits that came out of that, but I know the addition was the COVID question and narrowing that down and kind of changing what that looked like. I thought that one looked good, and I did want to touch on the piece that said communication with the public and just make sure the interpretation on that is clear. And then I also noticed in the capital improvement projects, it said I think it's supposed to read consolidated primary schools. That was one thing I caught. And then I just wanted to have a discussion about the library question too. I don't know if it'd be easier if it was pulled up or if you all have it in front of you. I can get more granular.
I have it open up in front of me. If you wanna,
Yeah. You want to
or
share
Liam
it?
got it.
Or anybody share?
Oh, perfect. Okay. Thanks, Liam.
What's the
Um,
20? Somebody
Yeah, I
just-
think the library one is first, number 18. I just wanted to make sure that this is clear of the number 18 is asking about before COVID. So I don't know if, that would mean before March 2020, but then when you skip down to, it says if you never used it, skip to 18B. And then it says, which of the following most closely describes why I have not used the library recently? And it was talking about concerns about COVID. I mean, I guess I just want to make sure it's clear for people that the question about COVID is just number 18. Right? Or just like talking about the timeline of use.
I think for 18 itself, again, I think for the library board and Nancy wanted to make sure that they understood more how likely were people to use it pre-COVID to get a better sense.
Regular use, yeah. Okay.
That's where this question has been reworded a few times because it's kind of a interesting question to ask that way. I mean, I feel like it's fine to say that they're not using it because of COVID, if that's really the reason why. An 18B.
Yeah, that's true. I guess they don't exclude, it wouldn't exclude that one.
One thing that Jason said, Allison, at our last meeting that's gonna happen is his team is actually gonna go through and take the survey.
Okay, so they'll be able to interpret.
We can see if they have like some specific feedback on this one, because I still feel like it is kind of worded.
Okay.
And I think also then a separate work stream, for lack of a better term, is the online piece. And a test run on the online piece, and we might be able to have like family members test it.
Yeah.
Or just say, how's this
Yeah,
feel, or something to a little, we can
Mhm.
talk to the full council about maybe doing that, we'll confirm it.
Before
just-
that one gets launched.
Are you okay with the library one now?
Yeah, and you just reminded me too that the library developed that question, and I'm sure that they've put a lot of thought into that. So that's one, yeah, that should stand. So that makes sense to me. Number 23 was the one about the capital improvement projects.
Consolidated.
Is that supposed to consolidated?
Yeah,
Mhm.
so can we send, Liam, can we just bullet
It's a
that?
small one, but yeah.
To correct that?
Yeah.
Consolidated, good catch. I didn't see that, good catch.
And then the COVID response one, how satisfied are you with communication with the public? Yeah, I mean, I, in other ones, I see that it's like left vague and not super specific because it's just like a more general question. I'm just wondering like if this is like past tense or present tense, like if this COVID-19 response is related to that time when there was more of like the shutdown, like from more in 2020 and when it first happened. and the communications with the public during that time and the response, or if it's an ongoing question, or if it means like communication about like COVID in our community, or if it means within how you use your town services. I just missed that discussion that you all had with Jason, so I was just wondering
I don't really
what the
think we,
interpretation of that was.
I don't think we separated it from, because we're still in it, right? We're all sitting here with masks, but I get the initial onset of this pandemic was what shook everything up. And we had to get the communication in line, and everything. That's why I thought our town did a fantastic job.
Yeah, well, I'm just, so like, say, I mean, I don't think would ever be like very dissatisfied, but say it's skewed lower. I just wondered if, like, I don't know how I would interpret that, or what the outcome would be.
Probably similar to some other questions that are really vague as to what the underlying issues might be for dissatisfaction. I think if the answers come back, from my standpoint anyway, I think it can be interpreted a variety of different ways depending on the respondent. I mean, I think there's, as Ken suggested, they're going to say, well, when the initial kind of rollout of changes happened, that's what I think of. I think they did a great job. Others might say, the communication was really excellent at the beginning, that's kind of dropped off. I don't really know what the town hall protocols are, or and so I'm kind of dissatisfied. I think it's going to require perhaps some further probing in the event it comes back.
Is this worth a comment box, do you think?
I would really,
Or not?
my gut saying no. I think there are other areas that probably more.
Yeah, I guess I would say no too, just because this was just a small addition, right? It wasn't like a full, this was just because it made sense to have something about COVID.
I just think with any one of these satisfaction-based questions, and the whole survey is really a satisfaction survey, anything that comes back with a negative response, we're going to want to probe deeper and understand what the issue is. And so
That's true, yeah.
Which hopefully that will be part of maybe this committee's charge, if after we get the results and fully understand the results and question Jason on any ambiguity in our reading of the results, is we could bring forward to either committee or council's areas for some town hall type discussions.
I also think we probably need to circle back with Jason on this one, because I think originally he provided the benchmark questions that they're using, and I'm just wondering, again, for Allison, more for like, say it comes back a certain score, what does that really mean? Is it good or bad? Because it's low might mean, Allison, that it was good relative to other towns, which might actually be a good thing. So how do we just might want to circle back with him to see, like,
So the benchmark was what? Federal, state, county,
And-
town?
Yeah, oh yeah, did we take that out for room, or?
I felt like it wasn't as
or
relevant,
change this? Yeah,
because these are more relevant for us in terms of.
yeah,
like,
they are, this is more helpful for us.
Again, it might not have been one of his official benchmark questions, but again, I just wonder if he knows, like, generally, like, how this section does, and if there's something similar that could be compared to, again, just to give you more comparison information of how was it compared to other towns.
Yeah, like, could we add the one benchmark question that has to do with the municipal response?
Or how about bake that in the question? Right?
As long as it's worded in a way that he can use it in the same way in the data as the other benchmark, or for the other towns that they're surveying.
If you do look at the question, actually, I'm looking at it again now, it looks like it is baked in the questions. Please rate your satisfaction with the aspects of the town's response to COVID. Right, so every one of those bullets is Scarborough, not federal, state, or county. I think that's why we try to get to.
But there's not one all-encompassing one about the town. It's like broken into categories. And so I don't think there's a comparison, because I think his benchmark question was just a broad one about municipal overall response, right?
So again, there's perhaps in general, overall, how would you rate the town's response to COVID-19?
Yeah.
These more specific ones.
Yeah,
Yeah, just one more that's an overarching one.
Inclusion, not an inclusion. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
If there's room for it.
What else you have, Allison?
That's all I had.
I only have maybe one thing for discussion. So in question 3, perception of the community. Now we're asking about overall quality of leadership provided by the town's elected officials, which I'm fine with. But then I was like, well, what about town manager, town leadership? Like, should we have a question there? And I was like, I don't think we need it, because to me, the survey is ultimately a representation of the town, which you could say based on how it's performing or based on the responses
Mhm.
to get to that level. But we asked about the town employees. So again, I just wanted to throw that out for discussion if you guys thought it was necessary to be that specific about, town manager and town leadership.
And you saw that as, oh, are you talking about number 4 within that overall quality of leadership provided by the town's elected officials?
Yeah, like I saw that, and then I saw the one on the town employees, and I'm like, why are we, if we're gonna ask about employees, because again, I think differently. Like when I thought of employees, I thought of like the people that they interact with on a day to day.
That's grab it, taking your money, registry,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Not
Yeah.
necessarily town leadership, and then we asked about council leadership, so do we need to ask about town leadership? That's my only.
Where do you see the question about, oh, just brought, because you asked, where's the question about employees?
It's
Another
one-
section.
one
It's the
more.
very first one of.
Right. Customer services. Yeah. So would the question be overall quality of
Maybe town
municipal
officials.
management?
Yeah, maybe something like that. Would that mean anything to you or Tom? Is that something you guys would wanna?
Well,
I mean, I think it'd be again, I think everything is interesting by comparison.
Yeah.
I think that if the perception, I think if there's a, elected leadership is high and employees and customer service is high and municipal management's low, that'd be an interesting.
thing to understand it further?
yeah, well, think about that for a second. because-
Yeah, and where do you think it would fit? Because, I mean, yeah, so it's not really a town service, so it would be more in the perception of the community section.
I think overall satisfaction with town services, I'd put it there.
Okay,
Well, I mean, it's more in line with employees and
Mhm.
yeah.
perception of the community. Do you think the perception of municipal management?
Well, I think
Effectiveness.
it's human nature.
It's not something that the general public interacts with day to day.
You gotta have a fall guy. Everybody's gonna have a fall guy, and it's usually the guy at the top, even though he's appointed by the elected official, so. I just don't want Tom to get a bad hit
Yeah,
for a wrong question.
Again, this is a tool for the council's disposal. I mean, if you think there's value to asking a question, that's up to the committee.
I'll let John bring that one forward.
I'm actually okay with it not, because again, I view the survey as, to me, like all these areas, how they perform is somewhat indicative of the leadership of the town.
Sort
right?
of referendum on
Yeah.
everything. right?
Mhm.
I don't think we need it. I just was like, oh, we talk about employees, we talk about the.
No, I'm
council.
with you. I just don't want to be the one saying
Yeah.
that.
I threw it out there. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but
Okay,
since
you
Allison
put it
brought
out.
up hers, I was like, okay, I'll bring it.
Because they would
My
say,
only
who
one.
brought that up? Ken?
Yeah.
We could just say, overall perception of Tom Hall. If you really want to.
So I think the gist of it is, Liam, you were all set, right? I mean,
Yeah, again,
you have parting words of wisdom for us?
No,
or-
I mean, I think that, Ken and I had, Mr. Johnson and I had a conversation before the meeting about just general impressions of the survey. And I think our, part of our conversation was really around, this is not intended to glean any firm, generally not any firm policy direction, right? It's intended to, I think the value of it for the council and for staff is, we obviously know what the issues have been that carried the day for the last 18 months or 2 years. And they've been really kind of micro issues, the downs, growth, traffic, budget, that time of year. I think this is an opportunity to take a step back, get out of the weeds and ask some general broad questions of our community about how they feel about how we're doing, what they think of the community, and maybe put some things on our radar that weren't on our radar. Things that we didn't know were issues that, and again, that's why I'm really going to be interested to see what the relationship is between satisfaction and importance. That's going to be really desirable. I think really, as Ken's really talked a lot about, is where there are geographic differences in perceptions of satisfaction. So I think it's a really going to be a really helpful, hopefully insightful tool. Maybe it'll be very affirming that people are really happy to be here and they don't see any issues, which is great. We ask the questions and we can get back to it. Maybe it'll be something that we really overlook that we need to spend some time and attention on, or the next council needs to spend some time. Again, I think that we do get bogged down with, we're not getting any definitive direction and answers to our questions. That's not the intention of this tool. I think it's really a broader again, satisfaction survey about where our economy is.
I think what's more important isn't so much like to me, it's what do we do with the results after?
Yeah.
What's our action plan? Because I do think there will be areas where we will know are important, but maybe scored high, and those are like, well, what are we doing today, and what do we want to keep doing, and maybe what can we do to accelerate or and then there's going to be those that are low and important, and those are probably the areas of
That's where we can make some decisions. Yeah.
So I think that'll be, to me, that's going to be how this tool is going to be helpful, is to really kind of know, to your point, where we are, but then also areas we can focus. To Allison's earlier question about like, how do we dig in to really understand that so that we can decide how do we address whatever the situation might be.
Right. And hopefully we can use Jason after the fact. I mean, we would extensively use him, but thinking of the background, if we could see a couple questions in a couple different areas and get some guidance about, are these related? Can we get something out of the relationship? And the answers are these couple different questions. So
I think in some respects, again, this puts a light on a potential issue or concern, and then the work kind of begins to better understand it. And so I think that we kind of talk as a committee about other tools that are out there. Again, we have a again, it's like, I guess I hesitate to call it a survey platform, but we have Jotform is that product that we can then do the outreach to understand. And maybe, I think that the work is from here really depends on what the issue is, where it's located. Some of it might be really straightforward, where, one area of town, again, the example that we discussed was, one area of town really doesn't feel like, a law enforcement presence is what it should be, right? So that's a very, grand scheme of things, a sort of simplistic solution where we engage with the police department, say, we think we need to beef up the presence. What's the plan to do that? We do some outreach, we do some education, and I think that's a really great, solution to move forward. Others are going to be able to.
Well, I think we can. There's probably many things in here that, especially with GIS, we can actually see where the sore points are, but we can address it. Because again, once you guys do a ride with the policeman, you'll understand how they break their work down into 3 big circles. It may mean that we need 4 smaller circles to get coverage, more frequent coverage in certain areas or something. That's a policy decision. That's budget. So
I think it's a good starting point. To the degree some of our solutions, are going to require, or may require financial investments. I think this is going to be a great feedback to utilize to start that conversation.
And to your point, these additional tools like the job forms and stuff like that, this is a good segue into that. We can, hopefully, if we can capture enough people that are into it initially, we can, I don't know how, but get back to them and say, hey, we want to drill deeper into this subject matter area. Would you take secondary survey specific on
Mhm.
that. We can get into maybe some of the greater detail that will help further some policy decisions.
So I think again, that's just where it goes back to like, once we see the results, we'll be able to figure out the action plan. Some
Yeah.
things we might want to use job form, some things we might want to do town halls, some things.
Yep.
It might just be an education thing where maybe we
Yeah.
haven't educated enough on certain areas that we just need
Mhm.
to build that a little bit more. So I think that's where it's just gonna be, I think it's gonna, as big as it is, I think we're gonna get a lot of insights. And then we just gotta figure out what we're gonna do with them.
All right, so I want to thank everybody here that played along with us. And so I would say that we move this back to Jason. And if you could clarify, Liam, just for me, because I have some memories and I want to make sure they're accurate. Because I know once we release it to him, you know, he's got his stuff to do. We're not going to go back. But I thought I recalled that there was at least a couple areas or timings within his process if we needed to make a small change. Or I don't know if it was supposed to be reactionary from what his group is telling him, hey, this is not looking right. Can you just find out what happens after now we release it to him? They're gonna work on it. What's the process if there's a change? And, you know, let him know that we're not gonna nitpick. It would be,
I will ask that
somebody
question.
wants something to our attention, so yeah, maybe we should rip that out or something like that. You know what I mean?
I think what I'll do is I'll get back to Jason tomorrow with the one minor edit around the consolidated primary school.
Yep.
Ask
Mhm.
for overall perception of the town's COVID response, and then ask for what those next steps are and what the timeline is. So, you know, we think we're pretty good with it, but in the event there's a minor tweak or is your staff going to come back with some suggested edits based on how they
Right,
move through the survey? Just better understand the timing on that. That can be part of that question.
Yeah, because, you know, again, it's that time thing.
Mhm.
It's going to the 13th now, so, great.
Okay.
All right, so then item number 5, discussion on community survey communication plan. So does that all fall on Allison?
Uh-oh. I think it'll be clearer to me once we have dates, once we know the dates. Do we know what, when Jason is needing the final one and what the rollout is after that? I think it would be helpful to know the date that it's gonna land in mailboxes and, at what point the online one
Good
launches.
point. I've got a leader article scheduled at the end of this month for October, and it's about. Okay,
Yes,
so,
you were gonna do the one for October 7th and I was gonna do the one for October 1st, correct?
yes.
Okay,
Mine's, mine's a blend of the voting and the survey, so
okay,
there's certain things I can get away with. I said, well, now that they've been mailed, okay, at least they've been mailed by the 7th, you know, I can segue into it that way, but yeah, if we can get some, I think that's part of Liam's reach out to
Yep.
Jason anyway, he'll get those dates for us.
okay, that'd be good because I do wanna have communications out in advance of it, of this is coming. And we've done that because Ken, you had shared that article out about the survey when we're just beginning to design it, and
lot of people-
choosing the vendor, so people know about it. But it'll be good to get it on their radar before it hits mailboxes. And then I was hoping with the October date that they would have it by then, but probably not, right? I mean, that's probably gonna come out at the time when,
Yeah, October 7th.
okay, that one, they should have it by then.
Liam
Okay.
will- You're right.
Um,
We have dates.
well, maybe I'll kind of draft something about how it's anticipated to arrive in early October. And then once I draft something, I'll share it with you all to kind of frame up messaging about whether it's going to look kind of like the cover letter of it, or if it's going to be, I guess a lot of it will be about seeking the feedback, but then making it clear that there is an opportunity for online engagement for those who don't receive a printed copy, right?
We have to nail that down.
Yeah,
asked that today. They said, if I don't get a survey, how do I participate? Because I read that you said everybody could participate, everybody can. We're still working out the details on that, but, so the sooner we get that, so I'm gonna have to take direction from Jason, right? Because I'm sure it's out to the statistical center first, and he doesn't want the externals in until it's closed.
Right.
And, basic questions like, if we get somebody a hard copy, where do they mail it? Do they mail it to us? We scan it to him? Do they mail it?
Yeah, there will be a return envelope that'll go back to Kansas. So that's what the, are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, that's the mailing, but
Are you talking about
how
the,
about all the others?
optional?
Yeah, I'm gonna totally default the cord to them, and I know they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's that follow-up that, because I know, I've been talking, actually, a lot of people have spoken with it that are very interested in taking.
Mhm.
So if they get the survey, fine. If they don't, then we just gotta be able to accommodate them doing it. So we gotta set up a plan for that, but that's around dates too, right? That's
Mhm.
about, we can do it. We could probably talk about what we could do. So if I may.
Yep.
Wild ideas. You're the liaison to the library. Could you have a discussion, tell them, we don't know the date yet.
Yep.
And ask them if they'll commit to 1 week, okay? 1 week of their marquee, their electronic bulletin board on the survey. Because I go by there, believe me, 6 out of 7 days a week with my dog. And it's been constant because they're still dealing with COVID. It's, hey, free fees, no fees, and you can browse. So there's really no hardcore messaging on there. They're not doing Talk America yet, because they will do that in Talk America. So maybe if we could get a commitment to a week. You are also the liaison to the school department, are you not?
I am.
Yeah, you got a lot of short
Yeah,
straws
He
there,
is,
John.
he is an important man.
I know Nancy is definitely into helping partner on how we cross promote this in her platform, so I think she's totally open to it. And I did mention something to Sarah just to say, hey, can we get this on the communications committee's radar?
Yeah, for
Because I think
discussion,
we're gonna want to figure out how we leverage the school's channels.
correct.
Like, is it
Mhm.
appropriate to send in there, once we have the live link, because I know they send a lot of emails out. Jeff sends out, I think, a weekly email to parents.
District newsletter.
I think that could be a place to
that'd be
say,
great.
yeah.
Because we'll definitely utilize the news.
Yeah.
Right.
And the library has their own newsletter too. Are
Right, so
we,
based
are
on
we
that,
responsible for printing out copies too? Could we distribute those to the library in addition to?
Jason on that. And I don't think he gave me he answered it as well. We could print them for you, but we have printers here that we can leverage and probably even get a discount with. over
Right.
here at, Spillers. I think I know somebody over there. So, right, we would have to get them, we could just say, no, we'll print them out. But on the regular mailed out survey, I'm sure there's some kind of indicator on it to say that this is legitimate, they probably scanned
Oh,
it in
yes.
the internet, where the extras will be by street address, because that's the only way that they can confirm that you have not already voted yet, or you are a Scarborough resident. So.
Okay. Yeah, and the extras would come out once we launch the online one. It wouldn't be right at the beginning.
Right, now we can get them
Got
all printed up beforehand, we can have a
Yep.
discussion on about how many, we can get printed up. Do the electronic board here at the town hall, possibly piggyback onto the library and school, but I would think that we want the exact same message
Mhm.
on all three marquees, right?
Mhm.
Gotta be like a 1 sentence thing, and they know where to go or where to do, so. Do you think you can work on framing that up, Allison?
Yep.
Think No.
Draft
mark-
one line, one short
that one.
line, right?
You've done messages on our marquee, correct? So you know how it works, how many characters you're limited to and
I
all that.
don't,
I don't think we ever have.
yeah.
No.
No. Nope, I think also another one, oftentimes and forgive me, I call it the Sedco building.
Yeah.
I have Sedco written down too, yeah, and,
Yeah, so we could
Um,
get four, we could actually have 4 bulletin boards.
right. Tell me if you disagree, but I think that we should be pushing people to the online one and that we have print copies available if needed, but that the encouragement should be like, take the survey online.
I think we should have something very simple that says, please participate in municipal survey, town website, and then we should have something on the front of the town website that's very prominent that says.
Yeah.
municipal.
That's right.
Right to it.
That's a good idea, and when we did the community center survey, they were actually pretty successful in getting participants. They got about 1,900 participants.
Wow.
Wow.
Harness John Clucci, you can talk to John, and they used some simple things. They got the hard copies and left them at Martin's Point, right? Some hard copies at actually, I think, the library. So we can find out where all that was. So I mean, we can't cover everything, but if we went up to 4,200 and you actually got 1,000 other people to respond, I think you could call that a pretty successful survey. So-
Are we calling it a community survey or a municipal survey?
Why do you ask?
I just want to make sure our messaging is consistent everywhere we're putting it out.
Okay,
And I've
hold on a
heard
second.
both.
Let me pull out the agenda.
I think I would be probably comfortable from a branding standpoint, calling it a community satisfaction survey or community survey. We are interested in the opinions of the community on things that, for the most part, we have some control over, but not everything. So I think that's a probably appropriate characterization. I mean, especially since we're asking questions about things that are not purely municipal. I mean, the library is a separate organization, the school with the same tax ID, but largely that's viewed as a separate organization from municipal government. So I don't think we'd get pushed back by characterizing it as a community-based community. Survey.
Okay.
And it sounds a lot more friendly and welcoming.
It sounds more engaging. Yeah, I agree with you.
Community survey on the survey.
Yes,
So,
and our agenda is community survey.
Well, I drafted the agenda, so that was a biased addition. But I think community survey sounds good. And yeah, I just want to make sure that that's.
So let's talk about the plan, because I think we kicked around just a dozen ideas here, but to get it put together, I think it's got to be date driven. I think
Yes.
there'll be anything new. In fact, we all know about the bulletin boards, maybe co-locating some copies. We know we need to get copies. But all that is driven by time. So can we, if you could, we get the times and you can get a rough plan again, see October, that'd be too late.
October 4th.
That's too late.
Yeah, we could do a special meeting. Again, I think it could just be a meeting of, we don't need to convene even the.
No, we
communications
don't. Right,
Yeah.
we'll do like we
We can
did
do our
with
usual.
this.
committee.
Speaking of which, did you ever show? No.
So yeah, I think we'll ask Jason for a rough timeline tomorrow about how long it's gonna take his group, when he's gonna send out the scientific survey, when we reasonably expect to get it back, then subsequently when we'd launch the survey for everyone else. And a rough timeline there. One question I do have, in speaking with the manager, was whether we would entertain keeping the opportunity to take the survey open through the election. Because he really feels like on poll day, that's gonna be a great opportunity for some promotion, maybe have it close a few days or a week, maybe the Friday after the election. I guess.
What do you think? Yeah, I mean,
could we have some computers at as exit polling for outside of the election for people who haven't taken it yet to have the opportunity, if not to take it there live to.
I think there's some potential to that, kind of COVID restrictions, protocols aside.
that's a good idea. I don't mean to cut you short, because I did this at one election. Okay. We got 231 names. that we don't think got entered into our database, but that's a side story. Great opportunity. I don't know if I would request somebody to take survey. Could be up to 15 minutes and you'd be outside and we don't know what the weather is. However, another opportunity to ask them if they do want survey. And that's, and we can time the e-news letter push on the survey, maybe around that time frame. Because number one, yeah, I want to take it. No, I'm not a member of e-news. So here's the card, sign up for e-news, you'll get the survey. Stuff like that. Something like that. I think we could get
How,
creative.
do we know how mobile friendly it's gonna be? It's kind of long, so I'm just feel like it might not.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Because again, I'm just wondering, if, like, people come by and you say,
Right.
hey, if you have 15 minutes, go to, have you
Right,
been to the town website? Pull up your phone. Hey, there's the survey right there.
right.
Yeah.
Where to go to get it? And just kind of like drive them to that.
Yeah, we'll have to, if you can follow up with that, just Jason on the mobile. Because I don't know if mobile was ever even
I
mentioned.
don't remember if it's mobile friendly or not. I mean, just the way it looks on paper, it feels like it could be overwhelming, but again, it could be very straightforward and simple.
Mhm.
All right, so we'll wait to hear back from Jason. and-
That'll make it a lot easier to plug in dates, just knowing that certain dates are set, like the newsletter, and the leader submissions, and then we'll have to just adapt messaging around that. But then other ones like the rollout and when it's actually gonna go on the website and on those boards will be determined by the date.
Right. You know, and that way you can just reach out and say, hey, are you on board? I'll get back to you with a date.
Yeah.
Because then we should discuss, should the boards be used? Because everybody's gonna get something in the mail, okay? And I meant to ask the question and just failed to was, what's the enveloping look like?
Mhm.
Just remember,
Mm.
we're in Maine.
Mhm.
I go to my mailbox, which is 40 feet from my house, used to be 700 feet from my house. I pack on lunch to go get my mail. But between the time I get the box back to my garage, I've already got a handful to go in the recycle bin.
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah,
'cause
that's
I'm
why it'd be
looking-
good to give people a heads up so they can anticipate it. And I could definitely do that in a newsletter. I just don't know if the October 1st e-news is too late. Because I could add it on this Wednesday and the 15th, just as like a notice that it's coming, like not even a big section, but just a line that says, that gives an awareness piece, but.
On the 7th, if you can't do it we'll do it on the 7th. It's like I said, I'll talk to you afterwards, but I think it fits.
Oh, I
well.
mean, just like just something in the e-newsletter, just saying that there's something coming in your mailbox in addition to the leader articles, but.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't want to miss out on the opportunity on this coming Wednesday. I'm sending one out and I could add a line in there. But
I guess we
unless it's too early.
maybe we see what Jason, hopefully Jason will get back to us fairly quickly tomorrow with an idea. I think
Okay.
putting something on the 15th about, because I think it's gonna be October. I think John's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before anything
Mailings
hits
will be
anything.
October.
So I think saying, keep in mind, this is again, this is another blurb, this is what we're doing. And I think on the 1st, it won't be too late to say, again, if Jason actually could provide us with almost like a cup, I mean, maybe if it's just a blank envelope, then we say, look
Yeah.
out for it. But if there's any sort of designation like, ECT on the outside, it'd be great to include a little photo and say, this is what the survey envelope will look like.
Okay, that'd be good.
It's too bad we couldn't have got or maybe we can. Can we get the town logo on the envelope?
I think that was one of the things he talked about, but I don't know if
He
that.
did.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
actually, I don't know if on the envelope, definitely on the cover letter, but you're right, like when they first get it in the mail.
I guess I'd be a little surprised if they're putting it on they have it on all the other materials. I think that seems to be.
could you ask him that? Just, I mean, because, but I know that'd be an additional printing charge for him, so, and we do have
perhaps not.
$5 left over in the budget, so I don't.
We'll inquire.
All right, so let's leave it this way, because we have an agenda item on a plan, but we don't have a plan without the dates. I think we all understand all the moving pieces, and we just gotta fit it all in the plan.
Yeah,
When do we do that? So I'm gonna suggest we wait, we hear from Liam, And then.
I'd say something, or I'd say
Come up
something
with a
early,
date.
early next week, maybe.
Yeah.
Give Allison and I a few days
Yeah.
to work it out. But if you guys have fairly flexible schedules, either tail end of this week or
Yeah,
early next
very
week,
flexible.
we'll come in with a proposal for a whole plan about, again, when we're doing leader, when we're doing e-news, what I should say, how to do the outreach with boards,
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
like that.
That sounds good.
Just to go circle back to the school and the library, we're only asking for their communication support when it goes live with the general link, not.
Well, that's another good question. Do you look for the support with the mail or to drive people that didn't get it, to educate people who didn't get it, or to get it?
I think that I think the school newsletter, if we could actually put a similar article for when we do an art newsletter on the first in theirs, just as a, a report out from the town. Please note, there's a community survey being launched and here's what the envelope looks like and here's what.
Right.
Be a bad idea. I know they do like a weekly email blast.
Mhm.
In terms of the library, I don't know about the boards. I think that should really be driving the open survey for anyone
That's
to
what I
take
would
care of.
Think initially.
And so
Is
that
this-
might be
Right,
something.
'cause everybody else is gonna get something
Mhm.
in their hand. The school with their list, but I'm sure you're right. You said that their communication, that they want people to participate. So I'm sure they'll do something just, again, with the dates. We can tell them when to anticipate maybe pushing out, hey, the survey should be coming.
Mhm.
And then we focus on rounding up all the people that want to, but didn't get to 42. And that might take, if Jason says, hey, we're mailing it on October 3rd, then we can start pounding that on the 10th or something.
Right.
We'll know people, if you didn't get it by now, you're probably not gonna
Right.
get stuff like that.
Yeah. But I agree. I think the repetition will be helpful if we can talk about it in advance, talk about it widely in advance that this is coming, even if it doesn't apply to everyone. But then when it gets to the point where it is applicable to them, they've already heard about it and they know that it's something that's going on.
All right, so we have a
Just-
plan for a plan.
One more plug, so I see Councilor Anderson made quite a lot of questions to the cover letter. I guess, Ken, if you want to take
Oh.
one more look at those, obviously, I'm not sure if Tom, Allison, do you know if Tom's had a chance to?
That's fine.
No, I don't even think I shared it out with him yet, unless you did. But
I probably have not.
well, okay. Once you all have had a chance to look at it, and I can clean it up after. Thanks for doing the track changes, John. That's helpful. So I can clean it up from there too, and then share it out with him when it's closer to a final version. Also, there was a piece in there about the logistics. When I was looking at a sample that Jason had sent over, it was referencing that if you had any questions, reach out to so-and-so. And I didn't know. Liam, are you the point of contact if anyone had questions about it, or?
I draw straws, but.
Right. Nose goes, yeah. But I just wanted to make sure that the logistics were included at the bottom too.
I think giving him my contact number, I'll clean out some voicemails, so there's excess capacity, but yeah, very smart. Is that or Ken Johnson's home telephone number? But I think
Yeah.
enough
That's
to know
right.
that.
So two things in here that I suggested maybe for discussion. I don't want to muddy this, but I did suggest somehow do we plug the e-news again, just as like another.
I
thing.
like that idea, yeah.
Kind of how your signature has that.
yeah.
Do we want that at the end for Tom? But since we're talking a lot about how your opinion matters, should we also just somehow include in there maybe just a sentence or two like, hey, don't forget to vote too. There's an election coming up. Because if we're doing all of this communication, we know it's not going to be a big election this year. And I think just having another, isn't that this is going to 4,000 homes to say, in case you didn't know, there's also an election on November 6th, right? Third.
Second.
Second.
Remember,
Sometimes.
like some people just might not have that on their radar. Like, don't forget to
Right.
put,
We obviously don't.
yeah. I didn't put that in my comments, but I thought about that, Allison, as I was driving over. Just
Yeah.
again, don't forget to vote too.
Yeah, just widening those engagement opportunities.
Okay, moving on. Item number 6, the discussion on the Scarborough Community Connections meeting. So let me recap my understanding. Scarborough Community Connections is a group that is noted for facilitating productive conversations in the town. I actually attended one. I cannot remember the overall topic, but I remember every bit of the meeting. It was very engaging. I actually thought it was something for me to sit and review. And I walked through the door and I'm a participant. So it was, but it was good. It was well done. Good group. And I'm pretty sure they've suffered by COVID, because I think the last one was civil discourse. Did they actually get that done? It
was January before COVID, was when,
So this was February. It was supposed to be in February. So did that ever happen? Do you know?
I think a lot of stuff was virtual, so they did some virtual
Right.
meetings post-COVID.
Right. So the ask, we received an email for them to come and talk to the communications committee, because they would like to, they suggest being a resource for this committee in designing and facilitating constructive conversations on decisive issues. And I thought I'd bring that forward to the committee, see if we had a appetite to have that come. I told them it would probably be late fall, because we're focused on the survey. We do have an election. Committees always get shaken up after the election. But I don't want it to get dropped. So I thought maybe as a future agenda item, we could have them come in and actually tell us what they could offer us. Okay, with a clear understanding is that if we were to engage and participate, and have them help us out, that the topic is driven by this committee or the council, and that we can realize their skills in the design and the facilitation, because that can always be of use on that. And you never know, if COVID released a little bit, we may even get a chance to use our Aglet Hall or public safety, excuse me, building, and get back into some community engagement like we were attempting to do before COVID. So
I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about the survey earlier about, based on the results, are there areas where facilitated dialogues would be a helpful action, and maybe asking them to help give advice on the design of what those, round, what are they called? Round tables could look like, just to make sure they're structured appropriately.
right.
Because I do think they're experts in, facilitation design, and I think we would benefit from getting people to help. Again, the question would be, would we want them to facilitate on our behalf, or is that something, like, how would we want that to be?
Yeah, I could actually see them, just the way my mind, we had, I hosted one here on the WEX CA. Because again, we had heard from folks that would do the roundtable discussions, that if it was a focused topic, the turnout was higher. If it was just general discussion, it was lower, and it was usually the same group of people that are in a lot of the town. So it's single focus. So when we had the WEX one here, we actually had a pretty good turnout. I would have loved to have a facilitator. So we answered the questions, but it's kind of like here, and I'm not a great facilitator. You try to facilitate and answer the questions there, everything can get awkward.
Yeah.
So function alone, and then design, like you said, based on what the topic is. And I embrace this. I think we should have them in for a discussion, see what they could offer for us, and see, just hear from them. So we'll plan on a future agenda item. Maybe if you could, let's look for this at December. I don't know if you're going to want to be on the communication committee. And again, with an election, new
True.
people, new desires. But that usually happens in November. We will know by the end of November who's on what committee. So I'm going to put in on that we do it as a December agenda item. Okay, subject to change based on, I may not be on the committee, based on the makeup of the committee. Okay. All right. Item number 7. That public comment. Got that Allison Carey, she's been out there all day. You want to ask her? What's up?
That's when I was a lowly attendee, and now I'm up to a panelist.
We have no one in attendance in the public.
Okay. Item number 8, future agenda items. We just discussed that out of line, but yes, let's have the meeting, the future agenda item with the Community Connect folks in December. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
And I second it.
Council Anderson,
Yes.
Councilor Johnson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Allison.
Thank you.
Thank
Allison.
you. Have a good night.
Why don't you go to custom